Some of you have reached out to us with questions about whether you could be required to get a vaccine.
So to find out, the Fox 12 investigators went to a legal expert for some answers. Simon Gutierrez has more on whether or not your boss has that power.
This is a question that's likely on at least some people's minds right now. Not everyone is comfortable with the idea of vaccines to begin with, and there are some unknowns about the new COVID-19 vaccines.
We've heard some questions about this. I want to pose this question to you as a legal expert. Can an employer require an employee to get a vaccine, a COVID-19 vaccine, as a condition of their employment?
In general, yes. With a few important exceptions, an employer is allowed to require an employee to receive a vaccination in order to be employed. Employers are already allowed to require flu vaccinations for their employees and have been for years.
You mentioned exception. What would an exception look like?
If an employee had a belief that they could suffer a severe allergic reaction to a vaccine, or if they had a condition that made a severe, adverse reaction to a vaccine more likely, that would be grounds for objecting to a vaccine requirement. The other objection would be a sincerely held religious belief.
What would your recommendation be for an employee that has some sort of an issue with getting this vaccine?
I would recommend that an employee who has some issues with getting this vaccine discuss it with their employer if the employer decides to introduce a mandate. We've spoken to a lot of employers who are going to use encouragement rather than requirement.
Given the nature of public sentiment about vaccines that exists in the United States right now, do you anticipate a situation where there could be multiple legal challenges to something like this?
Absolutely. I expect there to be a lot of legal challenges. A significant portion of Americans have indicated that they're not willing to take the vaccine now.
Along with the exceptions we already mentioned, there's also a potential exception for employees working under a union contract. In those cases, any condition of employment, vaccinations included, would have to be collectively bargained. I'm Simon Gutierrez, Fox 12 Oregon.